Okay, guys, you probably heard Anthony Davis does not want to stay with the Pelicans, does not want to play with Zion Williamson, does not want to make $250 million dollars or whatever it is. He wants to go hide in LeBron's shadow as a security blanket because he's a little bitch boy. But that's okay. A lot of these players are. Kevin Durant comes to mind. But what we know is that the Pelicans' female owner does not want to trade him to the Lakers. We've heard the quote, "over my dead body," Gail, whatever. And the thing is, when it's two female owners like that and they have beef, you know it can be real sort of petty and scorched earth, where the Pelicans, Gail Brunson or whatever her name is, would rather hurt the Pelicans than trade Anthony Davis to the female owner who played all these tricks and mind games and tried to sabotage the Pelicans and tried to force a deal to the Lakers and really sabotage the whole Pelican season last year in a big embarrassment. And the other thing is, Anthony Davis, say he does have success with LeBron, that would make the Pelicans owner miserable every day. And so, unfortunately, she still should basically trade him to the Lakers. And right now is the time to do it because it's before the draft and it's before free agency, where the Lakers are just such a disaster right now, a dumpster fire, and they can very easily talk themselves into trading too much in a real Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Billy King style trade to the Nets. This would be an ideal situation for the Pelicans. So what's the trade? It's not just these guys. It's also the number 4 pick and up to 2 future first-round draft picks. And so because the Lakers are so desperate, and they will strongly think that if they get Anthony Davis, they can sign another max contract guy, and whether that's Kyrie or not doesn't really matter. In my opinion, they should fill out their roster with sort of middle or bottom of the barrel price-wise free agents, Darren Collinson types, veterans who can fill out the depth, because as we've seen with the NBA Finals and Eastern Conference Finals, depth is so important, and it's so underrated, and people will always give the credit to the stars, but they never really. It's a lot harder to gush about depth when you have Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell and Serge Ibaka and all these other guys coming off the bench to bring you major impact. It's not as flashy. It's not as entertaining to give praise to. And in my mind, even Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Kyrie Irving, as a team with no depth, isn't going anywhere. And so this is what she may not realize. Gail Benson, I think her name is, for the Pelicans. David Griffith probably does. And, in Davis, Kyrie, both injury prone. LeBron James now older and more injury prone. LeBron James not playing any defense anymore. Kyrie Irving not playing defense. And so it's a really perfect situation. And you still have some old bad feelings between Kyrie and LeBron. But even if it was, and think of any other free agent who would want to play with Davis and LeBron, Jimmy Butler, so what? That's basically 3 non-3-point shooters, or 3 below average 3-point shooters. As LeBron gets older, he's just going to get worse at 3-point shooting. And we can see in his free throws, he's absolutely terrible there in the Lakers, which says something about the whole Lakers Hollywood environment. And we've seen D'Angelo Russell turn into an all-star once he got out of L.A. We saw Brook Lopez turn into a basically impact superstar for the Milwaukee Bucks. We've seen Julius Randle turn into a 20-point player once he got off the Lakers for these Pelicans here. You get the picture, right? You see the trend. It's a toxic environment. There's way too much pressure, way too much bullshit on the Lakers. And if you can get all this young talent away from the Lakers, I guarantee that the vast majority of them will play better, and probably distinctly better. I mean, just picture if Brandon Ingram had been drafted by the Pelicans or some other small market team 3 years ago, we'd probably be having a very different conversation about him. Just like D'Angelo Russell didn't really do much until this past year in Brooklyn. And Mo Wagner, in my opinion, he's underrated. In my opinion, because the Pelicans don't have much depth themselves, and because they can probably get 2 additional first-round draft picks by leaving Kyle Kuzma on the Lakers instead of replacing Mo Wagner and Josh Hart with Kyle Kuzma in this trade. Kyle Kuzma basically plays the same position as Zion Williamson, and he's basically a scoring specialist. And so this is just my thinking. If you can get Mo Wagner and Josh Hart, so you have bench depth and bench versatility, these guys can both play 2 positions. And then if you can also get 2 additional first-round picks, Brooklyn Nets, Billy King style, the Lakers are going to be thinking, oh, those future first-round picks will probably be borderline second-round picks, but no. In all likelihood, LeBron James continues to get old. Anthony Davis doesn't really thrive that much as he did in New Orleans when he's on the Lakers. And Kyrie Irving would melt down under that pressure as well if he did go there. Or it's just, you can't, even if you have 3 superstars, if you don't have any depth, it doesn't matter, because all the big lead your starters might give you, it's just going to be pissed away by the bench. And these guys can't play 45 minutes a game, and if they do, they're just going to be totally toast by the time the playoffs comes anyway. So this is just it would be a little bit of a gamble on the Pelicans' part that they might be putting together a super team. And just also remember that LeBron James doesn't really like playing power forward, and Anthony Davis hates playing center. He's a pussy. So even if you left Kyle Kuzma on there, with Anthony Davis not wanting to play center, you still got Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench, and you still, if they did sign Jimmy Butler or somebody like that, they would still have a glaring hole at center, and they would still be playing Anthony Davis there reluctantly, and he would start sulking. And then you have all the, Jimmy Butler and Anthony Davis and LeBron James all fighting over the ball. You can just picture the madness over there. So it would be a little bit of a risk for the Pelicans that they might be putting together a super team, but in all likelihood, it would just be one of these paper tigers, super teams on paper, like the Boston Celtics this year with Kyrie Irving. So the Pelicans would get the number 4 pick this year to go along with Lonzo. And I throw in Lonzo mostly because of salary considerations. To match Anthony Davis's $25 million, you basically need Lonzo in there. Brandon Ingram, a guy who just had surgery for a, a clogged artery or whatever. But it was just a scare. It was nothing serious, and he has no higher likelihood of getting a blood clot again in the future than anybody else. So but his stock is down, and that's good. And if they did potentially bring him off the bench, his restricted free agency offers would be mediocre, and they could just match any offer for him next year. So even though he only has 1 year left on his deal, and Kyle Kuzma has 2 years left on his deal, you need Brandon Ingram, I think, first just to match contracts. And remember, the number 4 pick this year has probably a $7 million salary attached to it. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that is what would make this trade go through. So what would the Pelicans look like? They would have some different options. But remember, they would also have 2 future first-round picks from the Lakers that could really turn into gold if that team falls apart. Oh, did I just close it? Heartbreak. All right, let me... Okay, this is something like what the Pelicans would look like. They could theoretically draft DeAndre Hunter with the number 4 pick from the Lakers to go along with the number 1 pick, Zion Williamson, and they would fit very well together on the court. DeAndre Hunter, a better defender and a lot stronger than Brandon Ingram. And a guy, Zion Williamson, you want the ball in his hands a lot. And if you're going to have the ball in Zion's hands a lot, Lonzo Ball might not be the ideal point guard. You might want to have Josh Hart in there for the better three-point shooting. He's still a solid defender. And Drew Holiday with his three-point shooting and DeAndre Hunter with his three-point shooting. And then you could either have Jahlil Okafor, who I believe had a breakout year last year, or they're still going to have something like $24 million in empty salary to go after free agents, okay? I believe that's the case. If they don't re-sign Julius Randle and Julius Randle turns down his $8 million player option, I believe that they have something like $24 or $22 million. And so, and Mo Wagner also has that center versatility, and so does Zion actually, since he's 300 pounds. So this trade with the Lakers, it would be young, it would be growing, it would be talented, it would fit together, the chemistry would be better, and they would have very good depth. With a guy like Brandon Ingram coming off the bench, that's incredible depth, because Brandon Ingram could probably be a 20-point per game scorer outside of Los Angeles, in my opinion. And then you could have Lonzo coming off the bench out, behind Josh Hart. You could also try to play Brandon Ingram at shooting guard and Jrue Holiday at point guard. There's a lot of different options, a lot of different variety, and injury resistant. That's also a key. When you have guys who are versatile and you have lots of depth and they all kind of fit together, personality-wise, youth-wise, versatility-wise, you can survive an injury and just keep on rolling. So the free agents available, Brook Lopez, Nikola Vucevic, he's going to get a max contract. They don't have that $34 million to get him, so it would not be him. But Brook Lopez, you could throw $25 million a year at him for 2 years and get the last years of his prime. And without Giannis on the team and Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez shot really, really well from 3 this year. With the ball in Zion Williamson's hands a lot, you could see Brook Lopez score more. But you could tell how he would fit perfectly with all of these guys. I'm going to go ahead and change